Hello, everybody. So I have an announcement from Brian. He wanted to make sure that everyone stuck around because he's got a big announcement that's going to truly rock. So make sure you stick around. There's a lot more to be had and be heard later on. All right. So we are here with Rich Riley from Shazam, as well as Pam Russo from Discovery Networks. Perhaps the two of you can just do a quick overview on what your respective businesses do in the media space today.
Sure. So Shazam is one of the most popular apps in the world and known for recognizing music very quickly. And people buy a lot of music and share a lot of music through Shazam. And we're increasingly focusing on the TV and recognizing both TV shows and TV content and helping users engage with the TV.
And Discovery Communications is a sight, sound, and motion company. We have Discovery Channel, TLC Network, Animal Planet, and you can't hear it, sorry about that, and 10 additional emerging networks, including ID and Velocity and a few others.
Oh, there we go. Can you hear that? Better? All right.
That sounds better.
So, I think what we're seeing in the course of the industry right now is a real convergence across the media landscapes. Shazam, you've got a great story to tell in which the business was basically focused in the music world for a while, and now moving into audience engagement around TV. Can you tell us a little bit about the insights that you've been able to gain from audience engagement in music and how that's translating into your new TV business model?
Sure. So Shazam has been downloaded almost 400 million times, and people are Shazamming 15 million times a day. So it took the company 10 years to get the first billion Shazams, and it took us 2 months to do the most recent billion. So that's over 10 billion Shazams, which for us are all expressions of intent. Of I want to know more about that song, I want to buy that song, I want to know more about that show or that TV ad. So that's a lot of data and a lot of consumer insights that we have about consumer behavior, and we're working to be able to leverage that to let people know about other content they might be interested in, let networks know who's interested in their programming, and overall just create a far more engaging and relevant experience.
So, that's really driving, like you said, the relevant experience and content exploration. Pam, from a lot of the conversations that we've had in the past, the Discovery programming, actual programming of the linear content, is starting to be really fueled by audience participation, audience insights. Can you give us a couple anecdotes on maybe some current stories in which audience was really driving how you're depicting and illustrating things up on the main screens and the screens in our pockets?
Sure. I think when we were here last year together, we had just done Space Jump Live, where we watched Felix jump from space and had about 8 million people who watched it on YouTube. I think we've come a long way from that original live experience to many things like American Chopper, which is a show on Discovery, which had its season finale in Vegas, and we had the ability for people socially to vote for the outcome of who was going to win that build-off between the Tuttle brothers, who had been characters on that show for probably the 8 years that it was running. We also have things like social reloads, where we premiere something like an episode of Fast and Loud with two guys, Richard and Aaron, who are two guys down in Texas who rebuild cars and trucks. And people really love the show and are very engaged with the talent and the characters on that show. And we'll tweet about it, and we certainly start the conversation and carry it through the hashtags that we use. But we've actually taken those tweets and put them into repeat episodes of the shows, and we've seen a 30% increase in tune-in ratings as a result, because people feel like they are part of the show. Their comment is adding to what people are seeing on screen, and it's no longer just a one-way conversation. They can be part of it.
So really the audience interaction driving increased ratings with a linear broadcast.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, last night we did an experiment where we took an episode of Fast and Loud, and through live tweeting, we actually had people that could affect the outcome in real time of that show. And I know you had an example as well from USA Network, where you had the same thing of alternate endings, and people socially engaging with the show are actually able to see the ending that they want to see and talk to the people watching the show with them.
Yeah, absolutely. So, how many people out here actually participate in television viewing? Meaning that you're tweeting, you're posting, you're Shazamming. Anybody? Not many people. So, I think that what we're seeing is that it's definitely in its nascency right now. But when you hear from Rich about the overall footprint of how many people are active across the Shazam platform, it's really interesting. So, on any given day, you were saying that there's 15 million Shazams in a day. That's a lot. So the Billboard Music Awards,
Yep.
got a great story here about volume. One of the biggest things that's a misconception in the marketplace really is that the entire real-time activation around television is just happening in two places, Twitter and Facebook. But it sounds like you've got a great story about Shazamming as well.
Yeah, we think of Shazam for TV as very complementary to Twitter and Facebook, where Twitter and Facebook are maybe more focused on a conversation. Shazam's really more focused on delivering engagement through content. And where music meets TV really is the natural on-ramp for Shazam. And so as you mentioned, the Billboard Music Awards in May, we had about 600,000 people take out their devices and Shazam that show, which was about 9% of the audience, and that was our record for second screen engagement, which we're hoping to crush at the upcoming Country Music Awards. So, but those are starting to get to be numbers that are really interesting, and a platform like ours is adding 3 million users a week, and so we tell people where if it's 9% now, imagine what that'll be a year from now or 2 years from now. So I think even if it's not yet moving the overall needles for networks, this is absolutely where things are going, and we all want to partner and get good at it.
So, one of the biggest things happening, and Pam, you were touching on this before, is audience participation. Participatory TV. I know this morning we heard from Evan and Pivot, and it seems like there's a lot more programming happening in which you're actually seeing these visuals up on screen. Can you tell us a little bit about how that process works, and what are you actually analyzing, and how are you getting those things up on air in a timely manner?
Well, I think first, you really need to look at the audience around the show that you have on air. And for us, if you look at a show like Fast and Loud, the talent on that show has a Twitter handle at Gas Monkey Garage. They have a really robust following. They actually know social media really well, so they make it easy for us to work with them and easy for the audience to engage with them. And I think when you start with a really social audience, it's easier to start to do things like a custom hashtag or to do a live experience or to explain to them how they're going to participate in programming. So I think if you have any shows where there's elimination or a contest factor, excluding the audience from that, your viewing audience, makes it a one-way conversation. I think we all watch TV with some kind of device in our lap, whether it's a tablet or a mobile phone. And rather than have you do something else like check your email, wouldn't you rather participate with the show that you're actually watching? Could you get that additional recipe or that additional song that you love in that show? If you can do it with one quick touch of your mobile device or by tweeting something, like this past weekend we had Long Island Medium is a show that's on TLC, and we had the opportunity for people to tweet to win. And live on air, the talent from that show actually call you, and through Skype, you could talk to the medium that you love on TV. And I think that's what fans have come to really expect, is that it's going to be easy, I'm going to be part of the conversation, and I expect it to add value for me, and that I get to have some kind of participation in the show and its outcome.
So I think you just keyed on something really important, is it's adding value for me. And it sounds like a lot of the strategy behind that adding of the value is around the hashtag economy. So Rich, from your side, how do you enter the hashtag economy where you don't actually have to hashtag anything to participate on the Shazam platform?
So for now, we try to get networks a Shazam call to action or a Shazam logo on the screen to signify to users that this content is Shazamable. All TV shows in the U.S. are Shazamable today, and all national ads. And over time, hopefully people will just know, for now, a call to action is really important. Music also serves as sort of a natural call to action for us. And then once you Shazam something, you're only 2 taps away from tweeting it or posting it to Facebook. So in some ways, it's actually easier to tweet through Shazam. There's no typing.
Yeah, so on the Shazam platform, you've got about 100 million installs in the US.
US.
It's become pretty ubiquitous to be able to Shazam a television show or a commercial spot. How many brand advertisers are you working with right now that are on board with showcasing the Shazam logo in their spots, literally visually representing and letting people know that there's more to explore here, and we're using visual representation either through the hashtag or through the Shazam logo?
Yep. So we've worked with over 300 advertisers so far. So we'll have several dozen running at any time, and we run them all over the world. And the core value proposition is to extend 30 seconds of engagement into several minutes and let somebody raise their hand and engage and get more and go inside the car or get the coupon or watch the full trailer. And so we've worked across pretty much all categories, and think it's a great way for TV advertisers to amplify their spend and engage their audience.
So one of the really interesting things that Discovery just rolled out with, a couple weeks ago was the Skywire, and the rich content experience that you put around that event. One of the things that I think is happening is with the fragmentation of access to all this great content, how are you finding ways to get your experience out to where users and viewers are?
Well, I think the key is you really need to look for where those people are located. If somebody's on Facebook or they're on Twitter or they're on Shazam, we want to go to where they are. The other thing is people may not always be in front of their computer. They might hear about Nick Wallenda walking the Grand Canyon and think, oh my God, I want to see if this guy's going to make it, and pull out their mobile phone, and they want to have that same experience that they would have in front of a linear television. So it's really programming for every platform, wherever people are, whether it's submitting a question on Vine or using Instagram. Every piece of information that's out there, or every service and app that's out there, has to be something that you consider if your audience is actually using it, or if there's audience there that isn't already participating in your program.
So it's kind of inferred that everyone is doing this, but in reality, not everyone is doing this. So are we just talking to ourselves here, or are we actually thinking about where the mass populace is going to end up in 18 months? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think the reality is 85% of people have a smart device open when they're watching TV. Those devices are only going to get more powerful and faster, and I think that's a trend everybody can agree on. And so the idea that there would be any less interaction between the multiple screens, to me, would be hard to believe. So I think it's definitely going in that direction, and we should all figure out how to get good at it.
Yeah, and I think for the television business in general, we really want people to tune in when a show is on air. We don't want them to watch it on their DVR a week later, or sit down for a weekend and watch 15 episodes of their favorite show. And if being part of the conversation, either through social or bonus content or some type of extended experience, is how those people can participate in the moment when something's on air, then that's really where we want to be. And you're right, I think the key is, there's that coveted demo of millennials that are 18 to 34, and I think we read all the time that they are time shifting, and they do watch differently television programming than the way maybe I do or you do. So if this is the way they're going to watch it, we really have to kind of cater to them on those platforms.
So Rich, for everyone here that may be following Shazam in the press, what's something big that you guys might be doing in the very near future that is going to change the perception of what your platform can do?
So we would like Shazam to become the really de facto way people engage with media around them. So our history and roots are in music, we're extending to TV, and we are exploring things like retail environments, deeper radio relationships, and also live events. And so I think anything where there's media around someone and we can access it through a microphone and connect their smart device, expect us to be seriously considering it.
And Pam, any last thoughts here?
I would just say that I think that we're still in the infancy stages of how people are going to use social and mobile and digital around especially TV programming. And I think that, we keep trying different things to make sure that the audience is there. We'll eventually, I think, get it right, but it's a great start, especially for live programming.
All right. Well, I think that's all we've got today. So thank you guys very much. Have a good one.